All right, y'all. You okay?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This is what we got up for today. I'm going to hit some front squats with a band around my knees. I'm going to keep it relatively light because my sleep was a little shaky last night. Do you know anybody that woke up early this morning?
Me.
You! So, and I had a client early. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get into it, and then after we wrap it, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some things to look for and yada, 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 yada. You got to tell them anything? Go get them!
Let's work!
Keep it clean, Lord, show them what a shower do. Plug into your bloodline, show them what an hour do. About to show them what an hour do.
I'ma take the game pound for pound. Spit it out, will live it how I found my sound. And I'ma kill it for the down and out. I may be stuck up in the drought, but don't count me out. Cause I'ma break up out that joint like a monster. God show me you do anything you put your mind to. And you do anything you put your grind to. You do anything and everything to get your dimes up. Life told me you just roll with the punches. Times like a sit-up, gotta know when to crunch it. Life's like a fist, gotta know when to bump it. And I'm about that biz, you just tell me to run it. Cause I'm a fly guy, you just gotta see it with your mind's eye. Jay told me he was in the ghetto doing drive-bys. Now that time fly crazy, I'm just looking back how I was living, it's amazing. And everybody wanna ride but don't wanna roll. Everybody wanna read but don't wanna sow. You may think I'm on my own, I did it but I'm not alone. Not alone, bro. Everybody wanna ride but don't wanna roll. Everybody wanna read but don't wanna sow. You may think I'm on my own, I did it but I'm not alone. Not alone, bro.
Prayed up, looking for the chance to evangelize the broke, looking for a change. I can see it in their eyes. Cause I've been an empty Keep it clean, Lord, show them what a shower do. Plug into your bloodline, show them what an hour do. About to show them what an hour do.
I'ma take the game pound for pound. Spit it out, will live it how I found my sound. And I'ma kill it for the down and out. I may be stuck up in the drought, but don't count me out. Cause I'ma break up out that joint like a monster. God show me you do anything you put your mind to. And you do anything you put your grind to. You do anything and everything to get your dimes up. Life told me you just roll with the punches. Times like a sit-up, gotta know.
All right. So, to start things off, that, from the time I did my first working set to now has been 13 minutes. So I probably finished my actual working sets in 11 minutes. So that was 135 pounds. I did two sets of 15, and my last set I did 17. And that's probably, I'd say my max front squat is maybe around 300. So, I mean, I hit 270 maybe last month for some singles, but I haven't really went up higher than that. So, I mean, you're looking at like, that's probably 30-40% of my max. So that was a prime example. In the last video, I talked about your rest periods. So this is another one, man, where I know we're pressed for time, right? Especially those of you who are parents, but even those of you who aren't parents, you've got jobs and a ton of responsibility and other things like that. And if you don't right now, then that's even more the case to get into the gym, right? But so a couple things to look at with the routine I just did. Number one, I got into in the intro, I didn't get great sleep last night, all right? I had a client early, and I was just up at 2 for a little while. I just couldn't sleep, right? So I probably got maybe 4 or 5 hours, which not healthy. But I knew for my sanity, I needed to get into the gym today. But yesterday's workout and then the day before that, I was hitting 2-rep heavy deads, right? So today I wanted to make sure I got something in. I got a sweat. I had to work those last 2 or 3 reps on each set. I was having to push through, and I was grinding a little bit. So I wanted to get the work in still, but I didn't want to take a ton of time, right? So is this something that I would want to do every day? No. But is this better for me than not doing anything? No, in my opinion, right? So moving forward, when I do have those days where I have more time and I'm well rested, and I'm waking up feeling like I'm ready to go, that's when I turn it up a little bit. So that's when I'm gonna I'm gonna maybe, do a complex that's really gonna tax me. I'm gonna do maybe some heavier reps on a deadlift, or some weighted pull-ups, overhead press, things like that are really gonna force me to like grind out those last few reps, like really grind them out. But in terms of something like today, I wanted to get the work in, but I wanted to make sure I was smart about it and I didn't go, too far. But with that said, some days it might be better for me to just take off and rest. So I'm always working the line between me needing to get into the gym and me taking time off. But mentally, sometimes this, not even for me, but when my son and I come out here, like you guys saw in the last video and at the intro to this one, like that's better for us to start our day. It's better for him to get out here, to swing on the bands, to climb, swing on the bar, like to really get out here and get that energy out, start our day that way. And then we usually have a smoother day. So even if I'm not going heavy out here, there's still things I can do with the bands, the TRX row. I can just get some stretching in, but it just breaks up the day when I can start it here. So that's my philosophy around why I did what I did today. Now, a couple of things to look at in regards to what I did today. So with the front squat, okay, it's a pretty technical lift and it takes some range of motion back here, right? So if you're watching me do the reps, a big thing that I've got to make sure to do, especially when it gets heavy, especially when I get tired, and especially when I get in the hole, when I get to the bottom of the squat, I've got to keep my elbows up. All right, quick editor's note. As I was looking back at the footage, I noticed that I was letting my elbows drop. All right, so I was getting fatigued and I was letting my elbows drop. So I'm taking my own advice and I'm looking back at the footage. This is what's helpful for me too, that I've got to ride those up, because I didn't even notice I was doing it until I looked back at it. So I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that I saw that, so you can go back to my, specifically when you can see from the front angle that my elbows were dropping. So I've really got to ride that up into my throat and just work those elbows up to keep me in a safer position. And thinking back to how I was feeling during that set, it makes sense to me now. But a lot of times I don't even notice being out of position until I see it. So that's where it's helpful to have a coach around you, or film yourself and then refer back. And go from there. So I just wanted to jump that in while I was editing. I noticed that, and yeah. Did you notice that too?
Yeah.
Over to the side, I gotta redeem myself after seeing that footage. I didn't even know, dude.
Right.
Come on, band.
Keep your elbows up. Keep your elbows up.
Okay.
Keep your elbows up. 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 Yeah. Let's work.
All right. So we did it. All right. I got a couple things to report back before I carry on with all this advice and stuff I'm throwing at you guys. Listen, that was harder.
Sorry if I don't have a shirt.
Sorry. You never say sorry for not having a shirt.
My dad's silly.
Okay. So, a couple things to take away from. That was way harder, so now I know how to make that successful, and I need to work on my range of motion as well. And look at my neck right here. Like, you got to ride that thing up in there, and you got to keep those elbows up, and it was way harder. So I didn't realize this was going to be an educational for me, but it turned into that, people. Anyways, back to your regular, get that out of your mouth. Back to your regularly
That's
scheduled
gross.
programming. All right? So my 3 fingers are just guiding the bar here, and I've got to get my elbows up.
Keep your elbows up.
Because if I don't, number 1, my back, but number 2, my wrist. This is gonna rip out my wrist. And if you don't have the range of motion here, what I would recommend, I don't like front squats here because I don't think it puts us in a strong, empowered position. I would get some like wrist wraps and wrap it around the bar and hold it up with some wrist wraps. I think that's a better option to get you in a strong, secure space up here, okay? I like the front squat from a position perspective better than the back squat, only because for me personally, it just feels better up front, all right? I just don't like how it feels on my back necessarily, but then again, I can go heavier when I back squat, so sometimes there's also that decision to be made, right? Do I wanna go a little heavier, grind out some of those reps, or do I wanna take the weight down a little bit and still get some good reps, but do it up here? So that's my advice there. And then the other thing is making sure that back, right? As you're watching me do the reps, my back has to stay here. So that's gonna take a lot of core strength. And for me to go here, because if I start coming down here and coming down, I'm gonna put myself in a bad position. I'm gonna put pressure on my wrist. Not what I want. And then lastly, the bands, all right? So I put the band around my knee because what that does is that forces me to have to keep tension outward, and that puts me in an athletic position. It engages my glutes, and it's just more work, really, but it puts me in a stronger athletic position to do the work. So if you've never front squatted with a bar, but you have bands, what you can do is you can keep your hands out front of you and I'll demonstrate right here. I don't know how well you can see this, but I'll put your hands out front and just come down and do a body weight squat, but put the bands on there, and you can still get that work, and that's a lot safer too. So I'll do some videos on that stuff too, but I just wanted to kind of break you guys off with a video that just demonstrates, hey, you know what? Sleep might have been rough, stress might be going crazy, especially right now, but getting something in, because I mentioned consistency and sustainability, right? That is huge. So I would rather get something in frequently than get something really good in once every 4 or 5 days, right? So consistency, sustainability, and then I mentioned this in the other video a little bit, but nutrition, you know, like keeping your fluid intake to mainly water, if not all water, maybe some coffee, whatever, keeping your sugar down, things like that, but really locking in that nutrition and allowing that to be the catalyst. Like that's where most of the change, if you know, I mean like 80% of the change to our bodies is going to happen in the kitchen. Everything else is to supplement that, right? So, you know, you're not going to gain a ton of strength by focusing only on your nutrition. That's where the strength training, the mechanics comes in. But in terms of body transformation, keeping yourself in a healthy position, losing body fat, it's nutrition, right? So we all have to eat. So if we can focus on the nutrition, right, then the gym we can supplement in. But I think personally, we need to get away from the mindset that we just train so we can eat, right? Like it doesn't work that way. Like it cancels out your workouts. It doesn't store up workouts for you, if that makes sense. So I hope this was helpful. Again, drop me some comments, hit me up. I'm gonna try to start posting some of these a little more frequently, and we'll keep going from there. But I appreciate y'all. Keep working. Let's go.